I have to say that after the credits scene where we have the gang basically being mangakas, and instead of the deadline being paying rent for Jahy, it's basically finishing the manuscript, and the fact that she poured ink over the finished product just in time to pass said deadline is pretty gold, I have to say. And it was hard last week. We didn't have a Jahy episode because sports decided to be sports and delay the episode on TV in Japan, so we had to wait an extra week. But I have to say, the wait was worth it. I mean, we get introduced to Salwa, who I've heard some rumblings about. I heard was going to be a pretty damn good character that, might even fight to be one of my favorites of the show. And goddamn, Salwa delivered. You introduce someone who comes across as a cosplayer, who, very similar to what we've seen before, thinking Jahy's the top dog, someone competing rather than competing for love like we've seen before. We have competing to take over the number 2 spot. And from Clifford the Big Red Dog to paying her rent to working and doing a way better job than her, Salwa is going to be gold. I mean, anyone who says they didn't get Clifford the Big Red Dog vibes from the first little chunk there, where she has like a potion that is going to enhance magic and basically make you a boss, and the dog ends up licking it up and becomes this giant white cuddle bug, and it's just like, you know what, of course this is viewed as an attack by the cosplayer, which I love that the civilians are saying that a cosplayer is being attacked by a giant dog-like monster. The comedy is so good, and I really wasn't sure if we needed a character like this initially when it was brought up, because it was like, okay, there's the competing angle, but what are you going to compete with, right? Because clearly Jahy isn't doing too hot for herself. Like, she can't pay her rent, she has like 300 yen to her name, which she spent on food because she's starving and has no self-control. What are you going to do? And the oblivious angle of, rather than looking at what she has and being like, oh, I can make these giant leaps in my head on why she's a badass like we've already seen, rather, it's just very unlucky situations that makes her observe things incorrectly. The fact that she's trying to sneak up and get a sneak attack on her, and because she's hiding around the corner and Jahy starts talking very menacingly, it seems like it's targeting Salwa. But really, she was just talking to the dog that follows her. So it's an interesting formula where it's almost the same as what we've already seen, but because of, rather than being like unaware at face value, it's almost unaware at a distance. So the fact that she's probably going to constantly be caught off guard by Jahy, not because Jahy comes up with these elaborate lies that somehow work on her, rather Salwa will probably just from a distance be confused, and characters like literally the manager and obviously Landlady are going to throw her for a loop. When Landlady popped up, I really wasn't sure what was going to happen here because, you want to do the opposite of what Jahy is doing. So originally, push back against Landlady. And the fact that she's like, no, you're not going to skip out on rent this time. How evil can she be? How does she not, pay her rent? And the fact that a mortal, a human, can shake down people that came from the dark realm is glorious to me. This is the character, the biggest goddamn balls in the series, and like I mentioned, the after the credit scene with her as basically, the manager saying, give me my goddamn manga, otherwise the great Jahy will not be published, to wanting her rent. The fact that she not only got her rent paid for her this month, but also the fact of the matter is, she made herself look really damn good at her work, which I'm not gonna be shocked if that's part of the reason why she got an advance in her pay because of the extra work she did. Well, I mean, manager thinks it was her and it was actually Salwa, but still, I love how this was, I honestly think I could have watched 40 minutes straight of just Salwa trying to one-up the shenanigans and constantly just either being shook down by gangster-like Landlady to then being embraced by the sweet and adorableness of the manager, right? I'm really interested because this is the type of show that you want to have not too many characters, but you want to have a good side cast, right? And I would say at this point in time, we have kind of 3 pretty relevant side characters that come from the Dark Realm with 2 mortals who kind of feel like they're going to be the main center focus. But there's still room, right? There's still room that they could introduce more occurring characters that pop up. I kind of think of like a Dragon Maid, right? Your center focus dragons and human characters, but then there are those side characters that pop up every now and again, even if they aren't the most relevant, right? I kind of feel like that's the kind of formula that we're building up here. And honestly, this shit's great. I mean, we're only 4 episodes into this show. We have 20 episodes confirmed for this season, and it feels like really this is an intro. This really is, right? You're getting introduced to the characters who will clearly be relevant for the next 16 episodes, yet it almost feels like we've known these characters for so long. And it only happens every so often for me, because this boils down to a slice of life, right? You know, the intro kind of has like that Devil's a Part-Timer vibe with its own unique twist, and it kind of just feels like a slice of life of a demon wannabe lord who thinks she's a badass, who's struggling to pay rent, yet every single week the hurdles that she has to overcome, they almost boil down to the same things every week, but they always come out different. Because, I mean, it's a pretty relatable, I think, issue, even though, like, it kind of boils down to something unrelatable. Jahy wants to be able to afford her rent, to be able to pay for food, you know? She doesn't have the time in the day to have more shifts. You know, that's a pretty relatable trait that makes you want to root for her. But then when you pull back a little bit and we realize that she's trying to get goddamn crystals to restore the demon realm, we're like, should we really root for that? It's a nice blend of absurd meets realism, I think. And that's what makes it kind of have that heart and charm. And really, I mean, just watching a character walk around the streets trying to be a big badass boss, answer me, fool, you're gonna tell me how to make quick-ass money, ends up spending quick-ass money and having nothing left. I mean, truthfully, had her rent not got paid this month, I don't know if she would have survived. I really don't. Because the unfortunate truth is money makes the world go round, and because she doesn't have enough crystals, and because she can't admit to characters with a shit ton of crystals, she's pretty much down in her luck. So what is going to happen? I really feel like up until the home stretch of this season, we're going to see her hardly being able to pay her rent, hardly be able to fill her fridge, and she's going to continue to find these leaps and bounds. I actually thought when she was talking about how she wants to have money without doing anything, I thought she was going to gamble. I thought she was going to take her 6 or 7 yen and go, like, to the horse races, and she would win, like, against, like, these impossible odds, and she'd have, like, $20 or something. Like, I thought that's what they were building up to. I wasn't expecting just simply spending the money on food, which, to her defense, she clearly was starving, so, like, buying food isn't the worst thing ever, but, like, she has nothing to look forward to right now, and it's kind of heartbreaking, but kind of like, when you think about how she acted in the Dark Realm, maybe it's kind of just karma finally catching back up to her. It's a great blend of just, like, what the hell moments. Shit, I'm always looking forward to the great Jahy, and I know I'm not alone. This show was hyped up like shit before the season started, and it's gonna be great. I mean, I'm glad it's carrying over into the next season. I'm very excited to continue talking and discussing it. I don't even know who my favorite character is at this point. I think they're all almost equal in their own unique way, and I couldn't see the show working after being introduced to any of these characters. Like, you need them all a part of the cast in order for it to be the great Jahy, right? Let me know your favorite moment, and what do you think of the new character Salwa? Do you love her as much as myself? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.